What's happening, people? Welcome to another episode of No Ball, a UK Chicago Bulls podcast with myself, Jimmy from UK Chicago Bulls.
What's happening,
We've had
people?
so
Welcome
many
to
technical
another
issues.
episode.
There's another one with that jumping in. Don't know if you heard that. That's the delay. So many technical issues. So I'm just going back to basics. None of this intro stuff. I'm trying to run before I can walk. So we're just going back to basics. We're going straight into it. The audio will be edited, but the video will be just straight in. Yeah, I was gutted last week. We had some real bad issues with Easy. It was such an awesome episode. And I worked so hard to not have the issues we had. So I was really down about it last week. So yeah, we're just going a bit more raw this week and getting back to basics. But my guest today, I'm really excited about this one. Well, I always say that I know, but I genuinely always am. This guy is fairly new to the Chicago Bulls and the game of basketball in general. So it's going to be interesting to get some of his thoughts. Without further ado, Jack Waters, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, really good. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
No, no worries. Absolutely, buzzing to be here. Genuinely
Well, when
smiling.
I put the tweet out a couple of weeks ago about getting it back going and stuff, you messaged saying how would I feel about having a beginner or novice or however you put it. And yeah, man, open arms because this is probably a first, and a lot of people, even experienced fans that have been supporting the game longer than me, sort of, I've reached out to a couple of people and they sort of said, "Oh, I don't know about this." So yeah, fair play for throwing yourself in at the deep end, man.
Well, you don't, I might be terrible and never do this again, but you don't know until you give it that first go, do you?
No, we will be good, man. We've had a quick chat off air, and yeah, I'm confident we're going to be absolutely fine. You just get that feeling. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing your story. So let's jump straight into it. You live in Plymouth. I can see your Plymouth Patriots scarf behind you. So you're obviously a Plymouth Patriots fan, which we'll get into. But first and foremost, well, how did you get into basketball? Let's start there.
Well, it's weird, really, because I never used to. I always I've seen it on the telly before. I've been around it in sports gyms and stuff, and I always got put off by the noise the trainers made on the floor. I always just it went through me. And then I met my wife, who said that she used to go as a kid. Her brother was part of the development side, part of the Raiders back when they were a thing. She used to go lots of games. So 2021, because the Raiders stopped being a thing and the Patriots took over, we thought, well, we don't know how long we're going to have basketball in Plymouth. So I took her to a game as a birthday treat. Went along with my best friend and my brother-in-law and his kid, who was having his birthday the same sort of time, and we watched one of the best games I've ever seen live. I know that's not much to say, seeing as it's only a year ago or two. And it went to overtime. It was everything, had everything. I think one of the players went for a fourth or fifth highest British point scorers
Oh,
in a
wow.
single game in that game. I think the team that won it took it to overtime with a buzzer beater three at the end of the fourth. You
Wow.
know, it had everything. And since then, me and my brother-in-law, we've been hooked all the time. We even went out and bought the PlayStation games. I've got the jersey, I've got the cap, and behind me, like you said, you can see the scarf. There's also a signed jersey that I won in a raffle. I've got a couple of signed caps from the players, and yeah, we've also nicknamed each other the Basketball Wives. So everything, we it's just kind of taken over everything I kind of do.
That's
Um,
awesome, man. That's so good. For people that don't know, if we've got any American listeners, Plymouth Patriots play in the BBL, the British Basketball League. So, yeah, probably should have said that first, but that's awesome. That's so cool that you've fully bought in. It's funny you should say about the squeaking on the floor because I had a game on recently and my other half was just on her phone. She's not interested at all. Although she come to Paris with me, she's really not interested. And she was just doing something on her phone, whatever, she's playing a game or whatever. And I had the game on, and all she said, all I can hear is the squeaking on the floor. It's going exactly what you just said. She said it's going right through me, so I had to turn the volume down. But I've never even really noticed that.
Yeah, I think once you go to a game live, you just
Yeah,
even like now when I watch it on the telly, like I watch the Patriots games, the away games on the telly, and you don't hear it then, and you don't hear it in the stadium, and you don't hear it. I mean, they call it a stadium. It's a tiny little like music arena, essentially the
sports
Plymouth
hall.
Pavilion. No, we've got a proper little arena for the Patriots. It's Plymouth Pavilions. They do concerts and everything there. So yeah, I
Oh,
think it's
really?
1,500 people it holds.
Oh, wow. So there you go. That shows my ignorance towards the
Yeah.
BBL, which is I'm
Well,
ashamed of, to be fair.
the BBL for me, like it's always going to be the first love of basketball. It's the first game I went to. It's the first game that stole. But you've got to realize what it is. It is, the NBA is the dream for every sports commentator, for every player, for every coach. And it's good to see the likes of Nick Nurse, who's obviously in charge of Toronto. He actually
Of
started out in
course.
the BBL, so it's good to see those little stories. But the BBL was not going to ever be on the same level of talent across the floor. I mean, it's just unfortunate, but it's still a great day, and it's amazing to watch basketball in your hometown. So
Absolutely, and I think it's growing. I mean, I'm in Portsmouth, so my most local team is the Surrey Scorchers, who obviously aren't doing particularly great. They haven't got the best team. I've been to a
playing
couple
Plymouth
of
on Friday,
games.
actually.
Sorry?
They're playing Plymouth on Friday.
Oh, really? Is that in
Yeah,
Surrey or Plymouth?
it is in Surrey. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think I've only actually been to Surrey Sports Park twice, and I'm really ashamed to say that. It's literally 40 minutes down the road from me as well. So there's no real excuse not to go more. I took the kids the first time I went, and then I took my other half. Me and her went the second time, and it was a really good night out, like you say. But it's it's sad that that's how we describe it, a good night out.
Yeah.
No, it's more than that. It is more than that, but that's how everyone describes it. It's a good night out. You should go. It's a great family day out. It's so much more. And I think, uh, without meaning to, everyone kind of disrespects it.
Yeah.
Like you say, you take it for what it is. It's not the NBA, okay? But that's like football, right? Soccer, if you like, if you're American, but you're a Plymouth fan, or maybe you're not, but you're based in Plymouth. I'm based in Portsmouth, so Portsmouth are in League One. Take it for what it is. It's not the
Yeah.
Champions League, yeah. So
Yeah. You're not going to
that
see
still
the
gets
best of
the
the best.
fans. So why should basketball be any different, really, when you put it in football terms? If football still gets the following, and I know football's much bigger, of course it is, but it's growing, isn't it? The BBL is
Yeah,
growing,
it
and it's
is,
great.
and they're doing the right things. They've appointed a CEO now, which means, and I think they're looking at expanding, which is only going to be good for the game, which means more players, which means
Yeah,
better talent. So they're saying all the right things, but there's a few negative people that are always going to have their say about this has been done before, that's been done before. You know, it's not like the Bulls where you're going to have the same owner for 20 odd years and nothing's really going to change. So
no,
it's going to be experimental from times, but like I said, when you go from the cusp of nearly never being able to see a game of basketball in your hometown to being able to, that sort of gives you a little bit of motivation to go to a game. And
absolutely.
I've not gone to a bad game of basketball, and I
No,
can't say that about any other sport.
no, no. It's fun. No matter what
Hmm.
the score is, it's a fun sport to follow.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
it
And it
is
does. It
growing, and
takes
and
over
it's
everything.
yeah. Oh, it really does, and it's also incredible value. The BBL. Yeah, I mean, you
Hmm.
can sit courtside for like what 40 quid or something like that in some places. Obviously, different arenas vary, but I
Well,
think
the one
when
I was referring to, I said we were courtside, and we were four of us for £32
there you
all
go,
told.
£32. Yeah. So when I went with my other half, we sat courtside at the Scorchers at Surrey Sports Park, and yeah, I think that was about £30. I can't remember. It was last year.
Mm.
Terrible memory, but it certainly wasn't expensive, and we were literally row A, and it was
Mm.
yeah. It's so affordable, and what I love about it is you get a lot of families, and I can't speak for
Mm.
ground, but certainly at Surrey, it's really sort of family orientated, and it's getting the kids into the game as well,
Oh
which
yeah,
is awesome,
100%.
full stop. So yeah, I need to take my boy out, well, my kids, but my boy especially, my boy's really into it. I need to take him back there. He went to the first game and loved it. That was a long time ago now, so
Mm.
I need to get him back up there perhaps. But anyway, I'm sure we'll probably touch on the BBL some more, but Why, seeing as this is a Chicago Bulls podcast, let's go with why the hell are you a Chicago Bulls? But especially bearing in mind you only got into the game what, like 14 months ago or so.
Yeah.
You got into basketball, so why the hell did you support the Chicago Bulls?
um,
Although, hang on, saying that, we would have been top of the East then.
the thing is, when this is going to sound bad, but like when we first, like I said, we bought all the games and we were playing like on the PlayStation and whatnot. We, 9 times out of 10 we picked the random, and one of the times we picked random, I landed on the Bulls, and he landed. I think he landed on the Golden State Warriors. Which that seemed like fair because it was last year's edition where the Bulls weren't ranked all that well. But I ended up beating him, and one of the reasons I picked the Bulls was because I had obviously Zach LaVine, who went, did all the fancy flips in the air when he was doing the dunks, and I thought, oh, that guy was pretty fun to play with. So I looked up some of his YouTube clips about how he played, and I thought, oh, they're pretty cool. And I remember when I was a kid, I was growing up, and everywhere I looked and I saw basketball jerseys, I saw the Lakers, I saw the Celtics, I saw the Nets. I was like, they don't even sound like good teams. I mean, I know the Celtics obviously top of the East now, and they're runners up last season, and they've like ridiculously amount of championships after doing a bit of research. And same with the Lakers, but when you find that draw, and I'm probably one of the few people at the minute that is probably on Zach LaVine's side. I will admit he does have a lot of work to do in terms of figuring out what to do with the ball half the time. And I think the term being tossed around with him at the minute is lack of basketball IQ.
Terrible basketball IQ. I'm going to put it
I
out
think,
there. The man has terrible basketball IQ. Yes.
yeah. But coming up to the trade deadline, I was thinking to myself, you've got a 28-year-old who really needs just some point guard to just tell him what to do. He strikes me as the nice little, you've got your general, your team, but he's the nice little captain you go to when things are like, do something flashy or go and drop a 3-pointer, or, I think he wants to be the man. I think he wants to be the guy that goes, I can carry a franchise. I just don't think he's got that in his game.
In
But
my opinion, he wants to be that guy too badly, and he's trying to force it too much.
I agree, and which is a shame because then he gets a lot of hate and a lot of people just giving him a lot of stick for stuff that really isn't. Yeah, all right, he makes some terrible turnovers, but and for whatever reason, he decides to take a shot with no one under the rim with like 20 seconds on the shot clock. I think no questions, only he'll be able to answer why he's done that. But
and I'm sure he would turn around and say, because I believe I can make that shot.
Exactly, and I would much rather the guy take the shot and miss it than, especially if we're trailing in a game, he's taking a shot that, yeah, all right, it might not have worked out, but if it goes in, everyone's on it, jumping on up and down in their seats because it's an amazing shot. Take the game. I think there was last night against Indiana, 2 guys on him. Definitely shouldn't be taking that shot. Drops it in. It's not. He's not the best decision to make. But I think when it's coming to the trade, I would have preferred to see, and this is a very controversial opinion, but I would have rather traded DeMar because he's of a higher value and we could have got more for him than we would have with LaVine.
And he's older, of course.
And there is that. And plus, I know LaVine is the max contract and, he's probably a lot more expensive. But, if you look at how things go, and the chances are our next pick is going to Orlando, you're probably more likely to get picks from DeMar than you would for Zach. Gives us a bit of a fighting chance, but we didn't do anything, so it's all irrelevant.
Yeah, it's all ifs and buts, isn't it? But yeah, I get what you're saying. But I think a lot of people were saying about getting off of Zach's contract. They could do this just to get off the contract. Listen, they only gave him that contract 8 months ago. They're not trying. It's not like this is a bad contract they were given 2 years ago where they're going, oh God, we probably shouldn't have done this. There's 2 years left. We need to do a salary dump. Like 8 months ago, it was less than 8 months ago. I think it was like July last year, whatever. Anyway, they're not looking to do a salary dump. They wanted value back. From what we're hearing is they did shop LaVine within, to a certain extent. and everything coming out was that it was with the Knicks. Boo! My understanding is Arturas Karnisovas wanted RJ Barrett involved in the trade, and the Knicks weren't prepared to include RJ. Oh man, this is so hard to say because I say it every week, but we've got our own little group chat on Twitter with the NBA UK fans and all the other fan accounts, and it's kind of like our safe place where we can say whatever we want and it doesn't go public. And I say a lot of things in the heat of the moment. I'm a passionate person, but as much as sometimes it sounds like I'm hating on Zach LaVine, and believe me, he frustrates the hell out of me. He's also the reason we're in most of the games that we're still in, because he's produced some magic. The guy is very talented. There's no question about that. He's a star. He's not a superstar, in my opinion.
I
But
agree with that.
his own head, I believe he thinks he's an absolute superstar. And that's a big problem because, like I just said, sometimes he forces it too much and he doesn't need to. The man is incredibly talented. If we need a 3-point shot, if we need a 3-pointer with Lonzo out of the team, there's no one I want more to take that three than Zach LaVine, because we know he's more than capable of making that shot.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No question. What I don't want him doing is the Bulls leading by 5, and exactly what you just said, come up the other end of the floor, 17 seconds left on the shot clock, just throw up a 3-point shot with no one else in the paint to catch the rebound, and then give the other team a chance to get points back. That is why I just get so angry watching Zach LaVine. And then I think, well, hang on a minute, if it's not for him, we're not even in this game anyway.
I think for me, I think when you see those shots, you've got to look, like you said, you can look at it in one way and say, well, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't be in this position. But I think in his head, like you're saying, he thinks he's a superstar. I also maybe think he feels like that. Maybe he's taking the pressure off. You know, we're only up by 5. They're coming at us. Let's maybe swing the momentum our way. Let's have a massive 3, but it doesn't hit, and then the momentum goes further their way. I mean, I'm not going to sit and say I'm a psychologist and I can tell you what Zach LaVine's thinking, because that would be ridiculous. I've never met the man, sadly. But I think his IQ is questionable, but I think there is logic in why he's doing what's doing, even if it's not the best logic. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I
think I think for me the issue at the minute is you've got Zach LaVine, who they've tied up with a long contract. They've got Billy Donovan, who they've signed to a new contract, and they just don't seem to be getting on the same page, or they don't agree with each other. I'm not, again, this just seeing with the clips I've seen. And the problem is they're not going to get rid of either one of them.
No. No.
That's where the Bulls are. It's continuity. That's the key word that keeps getting banded about. They want to keep, the talks of people they're bringing in is to bring continuity with other players that they have. It's frustrating because as much as I'm opposing to blowing up the squad and starting new, I do think a little injection of dynamite, the last few games with Dalen Terry's energy reminds me a lot of your mate Caruso, who, you're not going to see it in box scores or stat lines or anything like that. You're going to see it with the eye test. You're going to see just that caring for the shirt, that sort of passion for the game. You're not going to see that anywhere else. And, I'm all for a little bit of entertainment. I want to see championships return to Chicago. I want to see championships at Plymouth, but I'm also a realistic human being. I know that sometimes you don't get what you want. So, and I know defense wins championships, but it also puts people to sleep. So let's entertain the fans. It's fair to say quite confidently, maybe the planes might be a possibility if we dip into the buyout market. But you're looking at who? realistically is available for what we need. We need a shooter and a point guard, preferably a shooting point guard. But so I think we should just let the players just go and have fun. Let the Dalen Terrys run around like a madhouse who's looking for his bone. Let Caruso do what Caruso does, and just throw energy and energy and energy. And I think if we can keep Caruso with Terry, where he can sort of like hone his energy, so like if you're energetic and positive, but you do it in this way, I think we'll have the makings of another really solid defender.
Yeah.
I think with a lot of the other players, you kind of looking at roster problems, because I'm a big fan of Kobe White, believe it or not. I think he's got a very high potential ceiling. I don't think he's being helped by the fact that he doesn't know where he should be played. He doesn't know what he should really be doing when he's playing somewhere else. And I just think he's, I feel like he's burdened by position. And
Yeah.
I don't, you look at Vooch, everything goes well when we go through Vooch. Vooch comes out, Drummond possibly comes in, and again, anarchy reigns, and it's great fun to watch. I think if we had Caruso, Terry, Drummond on the court, I think the world might, capitulate. But, I think, I watched the Paris game, and I'm not a fan of the ISO ball. I think there's a lot of individuals on the team.
Too many.
And I think that's the issue. I think they just need someone in there who maybe has won it all, maybe he hasn't, but is just going to grab them all by a scruff of necks and goes, we're not Zach LaVine, we're not DeMar DeRozan, we're the champions of Chicago. We're going to play for the people of Chicago and the wider world. Obviously, I don't live there, nor have been there. I am trying to convince the wife to let me go there.
You should. It is incredible.
Well, she's got a friend who lives out in Ohio, and I said, "Oh, let's go there, and then when Cleveland comes down, I can go watch the Bulls." And she's like, "No." I was like, "Oh."
Keep trying, man. Keep trying.
I'm not going to give up. It's only been 40 months in the making, so I've got time. Time is on my side.
No, I agree. Listen, like you just said, when we play through Vooch in the post, I said it last week, like Stacey King always said, it's a simple game. The big man's in the post, give him the ball, right? Especially when he's on a mismatch. There is too much hero ball. And the two culprits, let's be honest, and I love DeMar DeRozan. Like, I love that man. But the two culprits to play hero ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. Same thing every night. And DeMar's been off. But I was shocked. I was listening to, I think it was the CHGO podcast guys that said about DeMar's shooting was actually up from this time last season, which I was shocked by, because for me, he seems that mid-range, especially from the elbow, was money every time we sort of watched it. This season, it doesn't seem to be like that, in my opinion. And he sort of goes more for, he's looking for that foul every time. He's got taking the shot now. And to me, he's concentrating too much on getting that foul than he is making the shot. It's so frustrating, man. I mean, when people message me saying, let's blow it up, like even a month ago, let's blow it up. And I'm saying, don't be so stupid. Even if we blow it up, the chance of us getting a top 4 pick are really slim. If we don't get a top 4 pick, obviously, like you just said, it goes to Orlando. Blowing it up is not the way to go. And I am so done with what I've been watching since Paris, I think. And I don't know whether it's on a come down from the Chicago trip that I went on and then the Paris trip I went on, and I've come back and I've got no balls excitement. Is it partly that? I don't know. Or is it just because this team is so frustrating to watch to the point where I'm waking up in the morning looking for a tank on Google so I can make a tank emoji for my game day graphic or the results graphic, because if I don't try and make some light of it, I'm probably going to burst into tears or just go in some anger rage or whatever. I honestly don't know what this team is anymore. We keep seeing the graphic come up with the team when we were tanking with, gosh, who is even in there? Like Walt Lemon Jr. and all those guys. I don't know if you were watching then. Probably not. That was like a couple of 3 years ago or so. And all
No,
these
can't say I
terrible.
know
And
any of those things.
Campaign was in there as well, which Bulls fans hated. Turned out to not be such a bad player in Phoenix. So I'm having issues with my cable here. They're showing that graphic. Remember where we come from. Like I said on Twitter, when we were there, we knew what we were. We were a terrible team, trying to tank, trying to get the best draft lottery pick we could get. This isn't the team to do that with. This is a team of legit, very, very good players. Very good players. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Vooch, dare I say him, Lonzo, Caruso. These are really good players. We're not talking about role players here. These are top level players of this league. And then you add to that what we've got, the Patrick Williams. Okay, he's showing flashes of brilliance very inconsistently, but he's still young. Hopefully he'll get there. Javonte Green, when he's fit, is to me amazing. The energy he brings every night without fail is incredible, and we are missing that massively. Derrick Jones Jr. I'm a big fan of Derrick Jones Jr. I think he brings that energy every night as well. We have got such a good team, and I know a lot of these guys are injured, but at the moment, or have been throughout the season. But even without Javonte, this team is good enough to actually show up and at least compete. And I know they are, because last night's a prime example. Even without DeMar DeRozan, we were up. What were we up at the half? I can't even remember. Something ridiculous. So the first quarter, we outscored them 39-15. That alone should be enough. Just see the game out. Just 3 quarters of seeing that out. That should be enough of a lead to win the game. I know it's only the first quarter and I'm maybe just getting a bit carried away. How the hell do we go on and lose that game like we did? We were so in charge at half time. I don't know what Billy Donovan says to these guys at half time, but he needs to just keep his mouth shut.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, and I think, going back to the BBL, is there's a lot of cloak and daggers in the BBL. You don't know what's being said. You see players leaving and coming and going without really any explanation. You get to see players, oh, this player's out injured. Why? Well, he's just out injured, isn't he? You don't really get the full story. And I think that's the issue with this team, is that there is something and there's no real reason as to what that thing is. At least it's so much speculation. I joked to myself earlier because I do a lot of driving, so I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I was listening to the CHGO one, and they did a mock draft where they got the first pick, and in my head I went, well, AK probably won't pick Wembanyama. He'll pick someone completely different. He'll pick like a player that's been predicted to go in like 14th or something. That's the sort of thing that we're coming to expect, and that's the thing I'm a little bit annoyed with. Is, like you said, if you're bad, be bad. If you're good, be good. Don't be both. Don't be really, really good, but then really bad. Like you said, a 24-point lead in the first quarter, and the expectation is that they're going to throw it away. And now they got Milwaukee tonight, which means they're probably going to win because of that sort of nonsense that we do. But now that people are thinking that they're probably going to win, they're probably going to lose. It's what makes basketball brilliant, in my opinion, is that you've got a team of genuine superstars. Like you said, Vooch is an all-star, LaVine's an all-star, DeMar is off for the all-star break. So I think they're, unless I'm mistaken, all multi-time all-stars as well.
Yeah.
So they're not mugs. They're not like, they didn't just have one really good season where they smashed it and made the all-star. They've done it more than once. And like you said, Lonzo stays fit. I think he's got the potential to be a future all-star. Caruso is underrated. Like you said, Patrick Williams is showing signs of brilliance. I go back to Kobe White and Dalen Terry again, then again showing flashes and small amounts of
IO's the same.
Io again, developing all the, there are some really good players developing. So where would you expect them to finish on paper, realistically? Why around the 500 would be a bad season in my opinion, but it'd be a fair reflection.
I mean, I had Mo Muncy on earlier in the season, and he sort of said we're a playing team. Without Lonzo, we're a playing team, which I think's fair. And he said with Lonzo, we're top six, which I completely agree with. I do think Lonzo is that important.
I agree. His absence has been, you could probably cover up the crack with 1 or 2 games, but it's been nearly a year since he last touched a basketball in a Bulls jersey.
Yeah.
You can't paper over that many cracks, and is that why we need a point guard? Well, then if we get a top end point guard, are we going to really want to demote Lonzo to backup? I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't either. But the big question is, when is he coming back? Because it's certainly not going to be this season. Is it even going to be next season?
I mean, I'm hoping for Christmas.
Man, that's so depressing. That's we're hoping for Christmas. My God.
I know it's 9 months or 10 months or so away, but this is
February. It's February, man. We're hoping for Christmas.
This is my issue, though, right? You look at players like DeMar, who's out injured now, and he's saying, he's got an injury that should keep him out for 3 weeks. He's going to be back in 4 days. You've got the All-Star break now, which he's probably going to play in and probably not playing tonight. These are professional athletes that have got a career of 20 to 25 years, if they're lucky, at the top level. Why are we, they're going to risk hell for leather to get as much playing time in that time to earn as much money as they can. So Lonzo's probably going to try and rush himself back, and so he can actually play and have a contract after once his expires. And that'll probably do more harm than good.
They don't even know what's wrong with his knee still. He's been for multiple scans and they've cleaned it all out and he's still getting pain. That worries me, man. I'm speaking from a bit of experience because I have knee issues. My right knee is pretty bad. Alonso, if you want my left knee, man, just come and get it. Send someone over to get it. My left knee's good as gold. I'll give it to Lonzo, no problem.
I can take both mine. I've had no issues with any of them. Do you know what I mean?
There you go, Lonzo. We got knees. You take your pick, man. And I had an operation on mine, and they went in and they didn't know what was wrong with it, and they cleaned it up, and the surgeon sort of said, "There's nothing wrong with it." I said, "It must all be in my head then, because sometimes I barely get down the stairs, and touch wood, it's not actually been too bad of late, but I have good and bad days with it." So I get it, but we're talking about the guys they're using are the absolute best in the game. These surgeons, all these people, these doctors, they're the best in the business. For them to not know what, or not be able to see what an issue is a big worry for me. I would rather them have said, right, this is what it is. He's going to be out for another year, but then he'll be fine. At least then it gives you some hope. Right now, I don't even know if he's coming back.
Well, that's what the thing is. Like, that's why I'm hoping for Christmas. And going back to the whole rushing him back is like, if you don't know what it is, you don't know what damage you could further do to it.
Exactly.
But like you said, they've looked at it, they've scanned it 1,000 times over. They cleaned it up. They've done all this. Just as one day he woke up and he was in pain with it, I'm kind of hoping the opposite happens. One day he's like, it's absolutely fine, come back and play basketball. Do you know what I mean?
God, wouldn't that be nice? Oh,
the pipe dream, I suppose. But it's when the issue is the fact that you've got a player like Lonzo who did such an amazing job, is now gone, but he's obviously done it such an understated way that they didn't think they need to replace him. Because if you think if they turn around and said Zach LaVine's going to be out for a year, 100% they're going to go out and try and get another star. It's not even within question. They go, well, our main man is down, or our second main man is down. It's the same with DeRozan. and questionably even the same with Vooch. If one of those three go down, they're 100% going to go out and replace and get someone to give the fans a little bit of hope. Say, yeah, we might have lost this guy, but we've got this in backup. And when he comes back, they're going to play really well together. They didn't do that with Lonzo. They didn't do it with a very, in my opinion, the point guard position is as
The most
vital in
important.
basketball.
Absolutely. I
It's
completely
as
agree.
vital to basketball as quarterback is to American football.
Yep, I completely agree.
So with that in mind, why have we not gone out? And I see a name linked a lot, and I'm sure you have as well, in Russell Westbrook. And
I've lost you.
oh,
You're back. You're back.
Yeah, that was good.
Sorry.
It's all right. But yeah, a link we've been made a lot with is Russell. It's not a name that, and the other one is Patrick Beverley is the other one. And if you're going to say to me, we're going to have to pick one of these two guys for this, that, and the other, personally, stick to what you've been doing. Do you know what I mean? Because all you're doing really, I know they'll come in and be a bit energetic and they'll scream at people and they'll get cameras and show ref stuff and it will be entertaining. But I personally would be like, well, let's just go have some fun. Let's go entertain the fans. Enjoy yourselves playing basketball, and we'll see where the cookie crumbles at the end of the year. If we're in the play-in, fantastic. If not, at this point, I think AK said at the start of the year, we want to improve on last year. Well, I think that's very unlikely to happen.
They're not going to improve on last year.
It's the way he worded it as well was very clever. He didn't specify the next round. He just maybe wanted it. I think we went out in 5 last year, so out in 6 would have been an improvement.
Yeah, 4-1 we lost to the Bucks.
Yeah, so if we were to lose 4-2, that's an improvement in theory. It's
baby steps. Baby steps.
It is. Maybe next year it'll be 4-3. We'll go to the decider. It's great. But even then, you're looking at that going, well, we're probably never going to get that. If this team went to the playoffs now, we've got a winning streak of 3, our biggest length. To lose, and we've done we're on a 5-game losing streak now. So, and clearly we've been swept by Cleveland, I think. Yep. So there goes a 4-game series that we're definitely going to lose. Who do you look at the league now and go, over a 7-game series, we could probably take to the limit, if not beat?
Boston Celtics. Let's go.
I mean, I praise your ambition.
We've got a good record against them.
Yeah, we've got a great record against them. But when did we last play them in the playoffs?
Wow, when Isaiah Thomas absolutely destroyed us.
And
which
if
was
I'm not mistaken,
4 years, no, longer than that. Goodness me. 6 years ago, I think.
So the last time we played them in the playoffs, we got destroyed by them.
Yeah. By Isaiah Thomas. Nobody else. If Isaiah Thomas didn't come back, he was going through some tragic issues. His sister had passed. And I believe that's what it was. Or was it injury? I'm maybe getting confused. But he come back and destroyed us, yeah. And I still believe, Matt Peck disagrees wholeheartedly, but I still believe that if Isaiah Thomas doesn't come back, the Bulls win that series. That was when we had Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade, and Rajon Rondo. And also, Rajon Rondo got injured. So if Rajon Rondo doesn't get injured, I think the Bulls probably win that as well. But they didn't. He did. They didn't. Isaiah Thomas was brilliant. By the way, he should still be in the league. It pains me that he's not. I love that guy, even though he never played for the Bulls. But yeah, no, realistically, we're not beating the Celtics in the playoffs. So I'm just saying it to wind a couple of my Celtic friends up. But we're not winning a playoff series against anybody. Let's be real. Talking of records, the Pacers. This was so depressing. The Pacers were 15-2 going into last night's game against the Bulls. They're now 15-3. Do you know who 2 of those defeats, 2 of those wins were against? Sorry.
Oh, it was against us. We I saw that earlier today, and I thought that can't be right. And I think there was another one as well. I think it was the Orlando team. Like they're on a bit of a stretch as well, where they haven't won in a while, and then along come the Bulls to change that for them.
Yep.
It,
The Indiana Pacers in their last 18 games have only won 3. 2 of those were against us. My God, how depressing is that? The Indiana Pacers. How depressing is that, man?
you try and put some sort of positive spin on it. You've got to try and look at it in a positive light. And the only thing I can think of is if you think of the last 4 games, we didn't touch double digits in threes, whereas at least this time we got to 15 3-pointers made. It's still an appalling low number.
Bless
But
you, Jack. God bless you. I
you
thought
know,
I was a positive person. My God.
maybe in a few years after following them, I might be,
Here was another one. I just got it up my phone. This was Casey Johnson tweeted this out. The Bulls have blown leads of 24, 21, 21, 19, and 16 points this season. This ties for second biggest blown leads of an NBA season. Now, the worst part about that is it doesn't feel like that long ago if the Bulls were down early, even in the going into the fourth quarter, if the Bulls were down, it didn't matter if it was by 2 or by 22. You believe this Bulls team can come back because we did it against Boston twice. We've done it against other teams as well. It didn't matter what the score was going into that fourth quarter with DeMar DeRozan as well. You just believe the Bulls are going to come back, and even if they don't win, they're going to make a game of it and at least not give up. Now it's the complete opposite. It doesn't matter if the Bulls are up by 2 at half time. This isn't even going in the fourth quarter. This is just at half time, or up by 52. I'm taking the other team. We could be up 52 against the Houston Rockets at half time. I'm taking the Houston Rockets. I'll put my mortgage on it, in fact. Oh, man, I'm struggling this season, man. I hate feeling like this as well. I have no fun in the graphics I'm doing I'm trying to just make light of it, but honestly, I am. It's tough, man. It's so tough.
I think when you see things that have capitulated so badly, you've got 2 things you can really do about it. You can just kind of laugh it off and go, let's see how we're going to make a meal of it next time. Or you can just be like overly optimistic and go, well, at least we got to that lead in the first place. And for me, I think I've lost you again.
We've lost your audio again.
You're frozen on me. You can't hear me, can you? Brilliant. Press button, see what happens. Can you hear me now? I think you might have lost you. Yeah.
Right, you're back. You're back. You're back.
You're moving again. It's great. It's a good start. Yeah. I think if you can either be optimistic and go, well, at least we're ahead by 20 odd points, or you can just look at it and go, right, these guys are paid professional athletes who don't want to lose a game, who are about to lose a game. Let's see how entertaining they're going to make it for me. And that's my biggest issue at the minute is they're just not entertaining. Like you said, you can go into the 24 at the first quarter and you think, well, this is going to be a long 3 quarters of how we're going to throw this away. But I'm a big fan of player development. I think watching players like Dalen Terry come on and go absolutely crazy is great fun.
There's a lot of faults in his game, but the energy,
the energy
was second to none, man.
You
and
can't
it
coach
changed.
energy, though.
No. So going back, sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You touched on the Russell Westbrook thing and the Patrick Beverley, and obviously there's John Wall as well, who apparently the Bulls have been talking to, which come out today. I don't know how you feel. For me, I'm sorry, but why would you bring any of those guys in? Okay, for me, none of them are great fits. people are arguing about Westbrook can do this, he can bring the energy, he can do this, that, and whatever. For me, it's a terrible fit. And there are times when I can be talked into it, watching the game, thinking, do you know what? Just bring Russell Westbrook in, like you just said, so it's a little bit entertainment at least. The other side of me thinks, and bearing in mind how against tanking I am in general, I hate seeing my team lose. It does. Even when we had Paul Zipster, and all those guys on the team, I did not like losing. I hate seeing my team lose. I got to the point, and I think I still am at the point where, as hard as it is watching these games and seeing my team lose, I don't want to bring in anyone that's going to potentially get us a couple of more wins and let's jump into that sort of just about jump into that play-in spot and then either miss out on the play-in, lose that, or go out in the first round by getting swept by the Celtics or the Bucks. I would rather, like you just said, you've got Dalen Terry, you've got Simonovic, and okay, I'm not sure Simonovic is an NBA player, but he's still there available. Carlik Jones, for me, bring that guy in. I've seen him in the G League. He can ball. Carlik Jones is a good point guard. Bring him in. What have we got to lose at this point? I would rather them go down and drop down and completely fall out the playoffs, but put the likes of these guys in just to see what they can do, than bring in a Russell Westbrook, a John Wall, a Patrick Beverley. That doesn't make any sense to me at this point. If we're 7th or 8th seed and we're trying to just push on that little bit more, yeah, I get it. Bring one of those guys in. But at this stage, man, it seems complete madness to me.
No, I agree. 100% agree. I think if you turn around to me and said, right, you got a choice of watching try that again in English, Russell Westbrook come in, or you've got a young point guard who's coming up from the G League who's got a point to prove, who wants to play for your team, give it to the young kid. I mean, the chances are, we might drop down. The chances are our pick is going to Orlando. There is no escaping that very likely scenario unless we are that bad we get number 1 to 4 in the lottery. And if we manage that, then I'll eat my hat. Just not this one, because I like this one.
You and me both, man, because I've said that from the start. Shout out Geraint Jones, who it's just music to his ears. He's loving every second of this misery. He's a Magic fan. He's part of the Orlando Magic UK guys. He's loving this misery on us.
But so the chances are we're probably going to have to build with what we got for most of next season. So why not fully explore what we got? We've built this roster.
100%.
We've built it to a certain point, which is, in my personal opinion, poor.
It's terribly built. Yeah.
We've got so many guards, but not any point have we thought we need a secondary point guard. It's all right to take Lonzo out for a couple of minutes here and there, put Io in, give him some minutes, fantastic. Even use Zach at the point where he's been playing, he's just been dribbling it for more than I would personally like him to see.
And doing a lot of traveling as well.
Yeah, I wasn't going to mention that, but
Goodness me, how can a max player travel so many times in a game? So consistently. That's the one thing, Zach, you are very consistent with. You travel a lot. I'm not hating on Zach. Well, I am. I know I am, but I don't mean to. It's just so frustrating.
It's one of those, though, isn't it? It's like that you're better than this. Why are you not better than this?
How can somebody on a max contract, multiple All-Star, travel so often? It's not like once every few games. We're talking 2 or 3 times a game.
Yeah,
he's getting called for traveling.
But you just got to laugh, really, haven't you? I mean, what other sort of you can go through the 5 stages of grief with this team in a season. You can go through, get what's the word? Post, distress disorder, where I can't remember the word, but like Vietnam flashbacks for this team.
PSTD, yeah,
that's the one. My words escaped me, or in this case, letters. It's you've just got to laugh, or you kind of find yourself in a pit, and I was of the feeling before the Paris game. I watched it, and I watched a lot of games where DeMar DeRozan was very much the ilk of, if you make this close in the fourth quarter, I'm confident I can win it for us. But if not, oh well. He didn't really, for the first three, he was nowhere to be seen. You know, and if we weren't close in the fourth quarter, he wasn't even seen in the fourth, which,
Mm.
you know, I mean, his numbers look good, as does Zach's, but like you said, there are so many things that you can't forgive, like the traveling, the somewhat disappearing in big games, and I think,
Taking a contested three when Kobe White's wide open, who was actually shooting better than you on the night.
yeah, these are things that you just can't really understand, for a better choice of words. And I think when it comes down to it, there are some very interesting decisions that need to be made at the high level. And like I said, I joked about the fact that it's very, very hard to think that we would actually pick the best player available if we got number one spot in the draft.
We've got to go where you go, Wemby. There's no.
But if
Yeah,
there's
you
one
go Wemby.
organization that wouldn't, it would be us.
Oh, don't, man. I can't even think about that. Yeah, I if we don't make the playoffs, I'm watching the lottery live. I need to watch that because that either, we'll put it this way. If we don't make the playoffs and the Bulls get a top four pick, Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley have got a very lucky escape. If we don't make the playoffs and fall out of the top four, and of course that pick goes to Orlando, damn you, Magic, go right. They can't hide away. It's been a massive failure anyway, regardless. If they get a top four pick, they can, although it's still a massive failure and there's questions that need to be asked, at least they've got a bit. I know if we got the number one pick, all of this disaster this season's forgotten about for me, and we get Wemby. And so they've got away with it, right? But the plan for this team was never to tank. This team was never a lottery team. We shouldn't even be in the. We might not be. There's a lot of games to be played yet. And let's be honest, this season's been a complete opposite to last season. Instead of coming back from games, we're throwing games. Last season we were beating the sub 500 teams and losing to the better teams. This season we're doing the opposite. We're beating the good teams. We're losing to the sub 500 teams. So this time last year, we were first or second in the East going into the All-Star break. And then after All-Star break, we fell off a cliff. So the way this season's gone with a complete flip from last season, I wouldn't be at all surprised if somehow this team come together after All-Star break and went on an absolute tear and ended up sixth. It would not surprise me.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? If they do that, that's not surprising a lot of people. I think a lot of people have said that. Because it mirrors exactly, like you said, the opposite of last season, that they had such a drop off. But the way I found it so far this season is that what you expect them to do has been completely the opposite of what they have done. So if you're expecting or wouldn't be surprised that they went on a massive tear, it wouldn't surprise. There's nothing this team can do anymore that would be a surprise, because they'll just do the opposite.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, yeah, okay, that was what you was expected to do. I think for me, the rest of the season isn't so much a write-off. I mean, like I said, I haven't been following them all that long, so I haven't got like Bulls depression kicked in just yet, and I'm still enjoying watching the games. I mean, I'm not enjoying the results, but I'm at that point where I'd much be rather watching basketball than not. And the summer's going to be a long, hard drought. But as long as, like I said, they just need to be a bit more let loose a little bit, maybe like remind them that they are a team in a team game, and just chuck the ball around and just see what happens. if we miss the season, end of season, and the playoffs and the play-in, you know, that's not the players' responsibility. Their play for me, as any sport, the players' responsibility is to the fans.
Yeah.
And as long as they're given the most for the Chicago on the front of the shirt, then I'm more than happy with the squad. I mean, I wouldn't oppose to people coming in. You can't blame the players that have been bought in. This is where you look at the likes of the higher ups and all the other things that have been questioned throughout this, especially with the deadline inactivity, which I was quite looking forward to that day. I was like, oh, see what happens here. That was quickly evaporated. Especially when you go on and say that, there was no deals we could have had, only two teams didn't do anything, and we then lose to the other team that didn't do anything, proving that we were a team that should have done something. I don't want to harp on about the areas that we need, because I think if you look for Chicago Bulls, anything, that's everywhere. What's needed is plain to see for anyone that likes basketball and follows Chicago. I want them to just loosen up a little bit and just stop being so rigid and maybe a little bit less predictable, in the sense of, we've got a massive lead, let's not throw this away. That'd be great, or win a close game, and what will happen at the end of the season in terms of playoffs, play-ins, what number we get in the draft, that's not the players. There's nothing they can do at that point. They're not in the play-ins. They can't do anything. They've done their job. They're going to have to worry for themselves and their families if they're going to have a job in Chicago next year. From what I understood, the main priority after deadline was to extend Vooch. I haven't heard or seen anything about that. If that was number one priority, the deadline was what, a week ago? For me, if that was my number one priority, that would have been done Monday morning.
Oh man, yeah. I can't see Vooch staying. Why would he want to stay in this? Let's be honest, it's an absolute mess. It is. It's an absolute mess, and I get no pleasure in saying that, believe me, but it's a mess. It just is. It is.
No, it is. And that's why you want to just see the players enjoy themselves now. I think everyone agrees with you that there's such a deep-seated issue all across the organization that this team was built to be a winning team. And it was built to
100%.
win the playoffs, and it's not done that. Blowing it up is not really an option, considering what limited options you have around you. So you're going to have to do something. So this team, if they're not going to stay together, have some fun with it for your last, 20 odd games, whatever it is. Have some fun with it. You might not be playing with these guys for very much longer. They said,
I'd bring Carlik Jones in, man. I think we would see something just different, a bit of energy. And I honestly think he can be, and listen, I know he's in the G League, but the G League is probably the second best league in the world. These are borderline NBA players in the G League. It's not like there's not a massive drop off. Of course, there is a big drop off, but I don't think I've seen enough of this guy, Carlik Jones. I think he could be our point guard all the time Lonzo's out. Give him a chance. We've got nothing to lose, man.
No, I
We're
agree.
stuck right now. Okay, we've given Dalen a chance. Dalen shows energy. I love that. There's a lot of flaws to Dalen's game that need to be worked on. He's a young player. It's his rookie season. That's going to happen. No problem with that whatsoever.
No.
Throw Carlik Jones in there. Listen, he might not work, and it may be an absolute disaster, but try. You've got him on a two-way contract. Just do it. Just put him in there, man. What's the point of giving him that opportunity if you're not going to play it? Just do it. We need a point guard. We need a 3-and-D wing as well, by the way. But we need a point guard, someone who can bring the ball up the court and take it out of Zach's. Zach, you get up there. This isn't your job now. You get up there. do what you're good at, because you got to stop bringing the ball up and losing it. Because
Yeah,
I can't watch that anymore. I just
no,
can't keep watching
no.
that.
It is like I said. He was one of the reasons that I picked the Bulls. Why, you know, he is one of those players that when he is on his game, he is fantastic to watch.
100%.
And he is an aerial artist when he dunks that ball. There's a reason he's done several slam dunk contests, but
Yeah.
he doesn't play to his strengths at the moment. He needs someone who is just gonna, grab him by the back of the shirt, say, "You go there, catch it and shoot it, or catch it and drive it, catch it and." I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't catch it, but it's we're if we're at that
Oh
point.
man.
It's at that point at the moment where you see a team that have got so many players, and you see them make best way to describe it, like high school mistakes with the constant travels, and it feels like a lot of the decisions that we're not getting is still playing on a lot of players' minds, and I just think that at times they play like sulky teenagers who've just like been told that they can't play on the PlayStation for an extra hour, or they're playing like
The thing is with this, right? This happens to every team. And there will be fans of other teams that will be having the exact same conversation. We're not getting the calls we should be getting. The NBA is the hardest game, the hardest league to be an official in my opinion. I say that a lot. They're going to miss calls. Get on with it.
exactly.
Moaning about it's not going to do anything. You just get on with it. Simple as that.
No, I
Go
completely
next
agree.
position. Next position.
I completely agree. I don't,
Oh man,
but
I think we could go round and round, but yeah, I don't know whether the CHGO guys touched on it on their latest podcast. I think it was Joey was talking about the like you just said, the 5 stages of grief, and 4 and 5. I think 4 was frustration and 5 was acceptance. And Matt Peck hit the nail on the head for me, and it's exactly how I feel. I'm between the two. Sometimes I'm frustrated as hell. Sometimes I've just accepted that this is just what it is. Let's just see this season out. Like they said, the All-Star break could not come quick enough for this team.
I don't. I think
fans of this team.
I think they said like there's not been a team that needs the All-Star break more than the Chicago Bulls at this point need the All-Star break, and I couldn't agree more. But at the same time, I know it is a hard watch, especially when you are staying up till being in the UK, stupid o'clock in the morning to watch a game and then realizing it's probably going to be over after first quarter
Gone
once
again.
you've lost.
Oh man.
Blue. Can you? No.
You're back. Sorry, bro, we lost you again.
Sorry. But yeah, I think when you look at it, as much as it is a painful watch in the morning, especially at the early hours and real life getting in the way, for me, it's still going to be sucking not watching basketball and the Chicago Bulls because of the All-Star break, even though it is a much needed break.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, I say this, but then I will miss it when we're not playing. Yeah, I'm very much in the moment. But yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like we could go on all night talking. So I will definitely get you back. I've really enjoyed having you on, man. You've I mean this with no disrespect, but for someone who I knew was coming on, who's only just got into the game within the last sort of 14 months or so, yeah, I've really enjoyed this. You obviously watch a lot of the games. You know what you're talking about. You're not a complete novice at all. So yeah, man, I didn't expect it to go on this long. I'm not going to lie. I thought this was going to be one of those little half-hour ones where I'm trying to sort of fill loads of gaps. So yeah, credit to you, man. I've really enjoyed this. So it's probably, yeah, it's been awesome. Shout out Samedy in the comments as well. He's a big follower of mine on Twitter. I really appreciate you, man. You're awesome. So, Jack, I think we're gonna have to stop it there. We've well overrun.
No.
I definitely get you back on again soon, man, because like I said, I've really enjoyed this, and Whether we're talking about a tanking team or a team that is in the play-in next time we speak, who knows? I mean, we could be in the fifth seed by then. Yeah, I don't know anymore.
Maybe my optimism might have died as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see. I'm normally so positive. I hate being this negative. Trust me, I really do. You've still got the positivity, which is awesome. So yeah, shout out for that. For those that don't know, give your Twitter handles and socials. Excuse me. Give your socials a quick shout out so people can follow you.
It's just Muddy on Twitter at Muddy1407.
At Muddy1407. Go and follow Jack. He is a relatively new Bulls fan, but as you can tell, he is very much bought in to whatever the hell this is. Jack, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you coming on. Like I said, I'll definitely get you back on at some point as well, either towards the end of the season or what have you. Yeah, it's been awesome, man. So thank you. Samity's going to jump on and follow you as well. He's a good guy, very supportive in the community. So yeah, cheers for that, brother. Jack, thank you so much, man.
No worries. Been absolutely brilliant.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you. Guys, we're back next week. We have got Derek Briscoe, aka Young Jordan from the Nothing But Ball podcast, is joining me next week. I'm really looking forward to that. That one could get heated too. So yeah, looking forward to that. So guys, we will see you next week. Thank you as always for watching, for listening. Sorry we've had a few internet issues today. Even when we go back to basics, we're still getting technical issues. So I'm just yeah, bad luck with that front. But we'll get there. We'll get there. We're still learning. It's all good. Guys, thank you so much. Enjoy tonight's game against the Bucks. Enjoy All-Star break. Enjoy some more sleep that you're going to get. Shout out Larry Markkinen, who is in the 3-point contest. Larry, I am rooting for you. Go and win that. Please, even if you don't win, do not lose. I can't even say the man's name. Oh, man. Do not lose to that Nick, who has just been announced in the 3-point contest as well. Julius Randle. Ooh. Please don't lose to him, Lowry. Oh my God. If he wins that, this season is done for me. That just when I thought it couldn't get any worse. Oh man, it doesn't bear thinking about. Guys, enjoy All-Star break. Until next week, go Bulls.
Go Bulls.